So everybody, I figured I'd throw a clip up here of what I've been working on. This may get a little bit long, but feel free to tune out, skip ahead, whatever. This is a Rockwell Delta 4-inch Deluxe joiner. 37-290 is the model number. I picked this up in an eBay auction that I forgot to bid on. Oddly enough, I sent the person an email, told them if the deal fell through, let me know, I'd take it for the high bid. Fell through, so I got it for about $75. Everything you see here, plus 3 brand new cutting blades. Don't really recall the shipping, so let's just call it $100. You know, and this is pure cast iron, old iron here. It's a 4-inch. The motor, the bases were busted in transit, so I had to braze those back together, put it all back together, kind of restored the motor. And then my project fell apart 4 or 5 years ago, and I know why now. That's because the motor turns wrong in the direction that it's supposed to. Secondly, I replaced the pulley that was on it with a 6-inch, but the pulley configuration is incorrect to get the right RPMs on the cutter speed. It's supposed to have a 2 3/4 inch pulley up top. It does not. It has a 2-inch. It's supposed to have a 6.5-inch pulley on the bottom. It does not. It has a 6-inch. So in its configuration right now, it's running too fast in RPMs. So I needed to slow it down. The top pulley is very odd. It has a 9/16 bore in it, and it's supposed to be 2 3/4 like I said. So my only option there is to maybe get a 5/8 and sleeve it, which I didn't want to do, or look to the secondary market. So to remedy that and get the RPMs to about 4,200, which is where it's supposed to be, I'm simply putting on a 5-inch pulley on the bottom, and that should work that out and get the correct RPMs there for what it's supposed to run at. So I'm going to go in a little bit tighter on it, show this, that, and the other. I need to put a switch on it, wire in the new motor, which I have sitting next to me. I finally found and was able to get it running in the right direction by changing the windings. It's not as simple as switching 2 wires like a lot of the motors. I had to go in and change stuff around, but I've changed this direction. I'm going to get it going, show the features of it, this, that, and the other, and maybe test it out. Not sure. Well, here's a rough shot at it from the front. The only thing I've really ever done with this is I just took it apart, cleaned all the grime off, lubricated it, put it back together. It's still sporting its original paint job, whole 9 yards with the exception of the motor, which I did repaint. So anyway, you can see that I can adjust the infeed table. There's a depth of cut indicator here. Nice and smooth. The outfeed adjustment, change the depth on it as well. The only modification I think I'm going to do to it is there are 3 Gibbs screws on the back side of this for the adjustment. I think I'm going to make 2 knurled thumb wheels to put in the center ones so I can lock the Gibbs down. I think that will, you know, help just make sure nothing moves. You know, you don't want to get in here and accidentally bump something if you're not paying attention. So I can lock it in and do it that way. Here's a quick shot of the top. Here's the guard cutter head. It's got 3 blades in it. I did purchase new bearings and put in here. The originals were absolutely shot. I did that probably a month or so ago. I sourced them out on eBay. They're kind of a sub or non-standard bearing. They have an extended race on one side. So the best I could do, I could find them other places, but the best I could do was on eBay for like 20 bucks to my door. So I did that, put them in there. Looks like it's going to work just fine. Does have a cast iron fence on it as well. I'm going to get into that momentarily. Here's a quick shot of the back. Not much to look at here, but like I said, that should have a 2 3/4 inch pulley on it. It has a 2. These are die cast pulleys, and they're horrible to run out in them, this, that, and the other. This one's actually not too bad, but the brand new 5-inch, I'm going to show you that here in a minute, how bad the run out is on it. But anyway, to combat that, I always use these Finner twist belts. I love these things. They take tons of vibrations out of your tools. I know I've said that many times in my videos, but that's how much I like them. They do work great, and I'm hoping that this belt is going to combat any vibrations that might be transmitted up to the cutter head. Here's a shot of the adjustments for the fence. I thought this mechanism here is very simple but very effective and cool. This will freewheel on here. and if I pull it towards me, it'll engage in this side, and then I can move the fence like so, and then lock it down wherever I want. And then if I push it in and loosen it up, there is a stop block right here that is on a hinge. I can pull this stop block out and I can pivot the fence anywhere I want, and there's another stop right here, a rest. Dial that into 45 degrees, come back up, set it to 90. You can also go up this way and set it back down to 45 right here. Very, very cool the way they've done that. And of course it has a chart here for degrees and a 0 pointer. I really like the way that they did that, you know. And this thing is built like a brick. I mean, it's just rock solid, and it is extremely heavy. I don't know how heavy it is, and it's awkward to boot, so it's very difficult to move around by yourself. They do have a caster kit that I'd seen, you know, that you could have purchased with them. I don't have one, and it'd be so top heavy anyway, I would almost be scared to move it around on a very small footprinted base like that. So moving on. Here's a quick shot of the sheaves so I can show how bad the run out is in them. I don't even need to put on a dial indicator. There's the 6, and then here's the 5. I know you can see that. And I went through my stash of things and that I just picked up here and there, and I did find a 6-inch pulley with a 3/4 inch bore. And I originally thought about putting, you know, making a bore reducer to put in here, but I figured it wasn't worth the time. And then of course I discovered that I didn't have a 2 3/4 on the top, so my RPMs are going to be off anyway. And then lo and behold, I found a 5-inch one just like I needed. But after cleaning it up and sticking it on the shaft, this evidently had worked loose at one time on whatever it was on, and the bore is just totally hammered out on it. I guess I could have tried to bore that out and then put a bushing or a sleeve reducer in there, but bore reducer. Not going to go through the efforts, because I had ended up picking this up for about $4, even though it was about $16.50. But I'm hoping that that won't be a problem. I'd rather not try to straighten out the run out because I'll lose my dimensions. So I'm just going to go with it and see what we get. Well, alright, it's all put together now. Wired on a switch, put a box there. There was an existing hole, so I used that to mount the switch. Put about a 6-foot length of cord on it. Everything's ready to go. I need to clean up the tabletop surface and put some T9 on it. I may show a clip of that as well. I haven't used it yet. It has a dust chute on it. I don't know if I mentioned that, and the dust just falls out. I'm going to put a collection hopper on there eventually, and I'll hook up a hose to my dust collector, try to capture this stuff. I am going to drag it outside to at least run a few passes across it as it sits. I've not ever used it, so I'm kind of anxious, but I'm really surprised on how quiet it sounds. I really like belt driven machinery as opposed to direct drive like table saws or you know, chop saws and stuff like that. Chop saws are always mostly direct drive, except some of the big sliders. But they're just quieter on the ears is what I'm driving at. Any of you guys that have a table saw that's a direct drive and then hear one that is a belt driven machine, you'll definitely hear the difference. So I'm going to fire it up. I'm surprised on how quiet it is. Here we go. Seems to work great. Alright, well, I've got it outside now. I've been playing around with it. I had to make some adjustments to it, so I'm going to go ahead and run this little short piece of pine through. I got it all marked out, so see what happens. Okay, I was only taking like 32nd inch cuts on that, so it took me quite a few passes. So that side looks pretty good. The blade's maybe just a little bit dull. So let me go ahead and do it. Okay, I went off without a hitch. I need to wax the table real bad because it's real nasty right now, but all in all, it cleaned that up. Got some oil on it too. Looks like it's going to be a winner. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck.